Operation testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so did everybody bring their pencil and their paper and they're ready to take notes?
Yeah.
Forget about it. No note taking. Just pay attention to me. No, I just wanted to let you guys know that essentially what I'm going to be doing is showing you, I'm going to be working with you with some resources online. We've got a brand new thing called the Canvas Instructor Orientation, and you guys get to beta test it. You guys get to look at it first. So I'm just going to show you how to get there on the web. That you're going to want to write down. But after that, all of your notes are there. You'll be able to go there, and everything that I'm talking about today is going to be set up there. So yeah, let's get to, well, hi. I'm Reno Giovanetti. I'm the instructional technologist here at College of Redwood. That's a big mouthful for I help people with Canvas, I help people with technology in their classroom, and I work with a few other systems, the telepresence system and that sort of thing. So if you are building a course, and whether that's for face-to-face or online, I'm hoping that you will get in contact with me so that we can work on, work on your course and take a look at where it might be improved, even maybe look at some of the things that you've done really well. I'd love to share those types of things with other folks if you're open to that. So let's go ahead and get started. How many people here have been on the CR website and visited CR Online? The tab that's on there. Okay, good. That CR Online tab that's on the main web page is my main sort of interface. No problem. Huh. Okay, well, we'll try and work together.
Yeah, I wanted to be the interpreter with that monitor.
Okay, I'll try not to move around too much. The CR Online tab, which is right here, brings you to our main page. We have revamped this page over the summer, so it's good to revisit it every once in a while and see what's new. The Canvas faculty resources have changed quite a bit, and we've added some new things in here. So I would visit all of these tabs at one point or another. Under Canvas faculty resources, we have lists of training guides and videos. There's information about student learning outcomes, some of the additional tools that we have. What we're going to talk about today is mostly the basics of Canvas. So what we have created is this orientation to CR Canvas. And if you click on this link, it will basically bring up a course with modules related to all the different sections of Canvas. The modules are organized by content, getting started, the introduction, the course setup, the grade book setup. So this is assuming that you don't know a lot about Canvas. This is designed to start from the very beginning and work all the way through. As you get through the material, and there's actually quite a bit of it here, you will find that it goes into more detail, and you will discover new things if you look through here. Essentially what this is a listing of a lot of the Canvas guides. The Canvas guides are really good. They're constantly updated, and I highly suggest that when you have a question, you look for the guides first. I also suggest that you go through here. We've organized the guides.
Oh, where's the guide? Oh, okay. Okay, I'm seeing that.
Actually, the guides will be contained within the module.
Wait, so if I'm on Health, CR Online, Health and Family Course, what do I click on to get that?
Okay, so let's go back. I'm glad that you did that. So you want to go to CR Online, and then from the CR Online homepage, you want to point to Faculty Resources, and then Faculty Canvas Resources. If you click on Faculty Resources, what you're going to see is information about distance ed. If you're interested in teaching an online course, I would come here and look at this material. Or get a hold of me and I can point you at this material. The Canvas resources are for everybody, not just online courses. These resources are pertinent to anyone who is starting a Canvas course. And then the course itself is the CR Orientation to Canvas. Okay. So that's the part that you'd want to write down. It's how to get here. Once you get to this course, all of the material we're talking about today is contained within this course. I'm not going to go through every link and every. I mean, did everyone get the little Canvas handout that's available here? Okay, there's some extras in the back. So if you flip through here, you can see Canvas does a lot of things. You do not need to conquer all of this material. I would have a hard time conquering all of this material, and I work with it every day. So what you need to do is pick the things, the tools from here that are going to work for you, learn about those and use those. And then as you become more familiar, you can add on. So if you're just starting out, or even if you're fairly new, I would start at the beginning of this and work your way through the modules. And I'll take a look at a few of those as we move on through here, and work your way down all the way through. And if you make it all the way through the material that's in here, you'll be very familiar with Canvas. So let's just take a look at the getting started here at the very beginning. So the course is broken up into pages. These are the pages that were created for it, and this has a little explanation about how that works. Each page will have tabs on it, and you can, when you click through all the tabs on a particular material, then you can click this next or previous button, and it will take you to the next page, which will have, sometimes it'll be a single page, but most of the time, each page will have a set of tabs on it for you to look at. Let me see if I can get to another tab page. So you want to look at each tab on the page first, or pick the tab that's pertinent to what you want to know about, and then if you want to move to the next lesson, you click next. This is the standard interface that Canvas uses called modules, and they use modules and pages together, and that's how you can present information to your students. Okay. So everybody has access to this. If you found something in here that you didn't like, or if you see something in here you would like added, please get a hold of me. My information is also on the, yeah.
Slow down with the clicking just a little bit because
Sure.
I'm lagging, so you're running through it faster than I can take a look.
No problem, no problem. I have a tendency to speak too fast. I will slow down. Okay, so okay. So everyone has access to this course. There's also a course that is set up for students that we have, and you may want to direct students to that. From the main home page here, you can go to Online Learners, and from the Online Learners, there's a Students Resources page. Within the Students Resources, there are instructions for logging in, and there's also a Getting Started page, which has the Canvas student orientation. And anytime you get to one of these orientations, you can link to that. You can put that in your course if you wanted to.
I feel like it's sort of, is that, how would I feel like I should put that in the syllabus for use of the Canvas, that they can access that.
Excellent place to put it.
Yeah. So that was, so then you go to CR Online, and then what?
I would just copy this link right here
Okay.
and put that in your syllabus.
Okay.
Say, here's a Canvas orientation that you can look at. Eventually, as we improve these, we will make this an interactive course which students can sign up for. We're not there yet. It's just static material right now.
Okay.
But eventually, students will be able to come here and participate in the course. Yes?
Talk anything about Canvas and orientation?
That is an excellent question. I have been working for a year now to try and get a Canvas course set up for students. But so far, this is about as far as I've gotten, is to be able to create this static orientation. I think that Canvas should be part of the GS courses, should be taught there. We should have an online offering, and we should also have, a lot of students really need that face-to-face. We need to have non-credit or something set up for Canvas training for students.
In my past classes, I always, students just seem to know, and so I've never spent any time on it.
Yeah, so here's the issue. There's a certain population of your students who know Canvas better than we do. They know how to get in there and do all these things. However, there's another population who aren't going to say anything. Because everybody else knows, they don't want to speak up and say, well, I don't know what that is. So you will find that it's best to bring this out and treat your classes as everybody doesn't know anything. It's much easier than for those students to say, oh, yeah, okay, and then they go in and they, oh, this is how it works. So I highly recommend that you put some material in your course related to using Canvas, regardless if it's face-to-face or whatever you're doing. Okay. So this is good. This is a good start, but what we really need is we need some face-to-face sections of a non-credit course or something that we can put out there to get these right. In the meantime, the burden falls on you guys to help your students with Canvas. Yeah.
So is that how they learn about it? I mean, it does seem like they come to class already knowing, but how do they learn that?
Typically from a previous course, maybe another college. HSU is now using Canvas. Some of them are just really tech savvy, and they go in and you can just go online and say, how do you use Canvas? And boom, you've got videos, there's material. So a lot of our students are sponges. They pick it up off the internet. But there's another population out there, a silent majority, let's just say, that aren't speaking up, and they struggle. Okay, so back to my orientation course here. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about a Canvas sandbox. So does everybody in here have access to Canvas right now? Okay. So has anybody created a sandbox for themselves? All right. Okay, well, there you go. So in here,
I'm the same way. You too.
what is a sandbox? So you want to come to this course, click on the sandbox link. What we have available to us is Canvas allows you to set up a free account and create your own course shell, blank, empty course shell, and create a course. You technically could even go in and add students to it, but you wouldn't want to do that. You want to stay with our So what I suggest is that you set up a free account, open up this Canvas. You can then load materials in there. You can experiment. You can download stuff from Commons. There's a Canvas Commons site that allows you to grab pre-made courses. You can look at what other instructors have done. You can collaborate with another instructor. You can say, oh, let's work on this course together. You add some materials, I'll add them, and you can share that account. So I would, if you're interested in learning Canvas, I would set up a Canvas sandbox. Even if you're already using Canvas, set it up as a place to experiment. Yeah, Brad.
I'm trying to follow somebody
Okay, so we start. Are you at the course? The student orientation.
Let's see.
And where is that? Where is that?
I
can't see your cursor where you're clicking. Oh, there it is.
Okay, so let's go back from the main website. You go to Online Learners. It's right down here at the bottom. Okay, and then you go to Faculty Resources, and there is a button under Faculty Resources that is Canvas Faculty Resources, or Faculty Canvas Resources.
Question.
Yeah.
So Carrie was saying, so recently you said something about sharing the Canvas with other people. What does that mean? I already have set up, you know, my course with the students on it and everything. But do you mean like if another instructor has the same class, I can go ahead and share with that other colleague? Could you explain that a little bit more?
Certainly. So if you have a Canvas course that's in our account, you can export that whole course. You can bring it into the sandbox, and then you can give another instructor access to your sandbox account. They could take all or any pieces of that. Okay? So what you end up with is a place to collaborate. In addition, there is a function called Canvas Commons where schools across the country, instructors have publicly shared their course materials, and you can go in and pull from that, pull it into the sandbox, look at it, play with it, take any of those things that you want, export them out, and bring them into your live Canvas course with your students. So the Canvas Sandbox course is basically a place for you to play where you're not affecting your students. Nobody else, you can either make it private, you can make it public, however you want to do it, to share and collaborate materials. If another instructor has a Sandbox account, you can send them materials as well.
So is this a place where I have several math lab courses? They're all pretty much identical except for the math class they're taking, the corresponds to the math lab. So is this a place where I could just kind of do a generic shell and then change the math name and then put it into that course?
You could use it that way. You definitely could use it that way. You can copy, if you have a previous course, you can always bring in from the previous semester your course and copy it. So you always have that as an option. So any materials that you have used in the past, you have access to, going all the way back to when we first started using Canvas.
Including the files?
Everything in the course except for discussions, any student materials. So when you copy a course, it doesn't bring over quiz results or discussions or any of those other things. Okay?
The grade book set up with percentages?
Yep. Your grade book, everything copies over from your previous. So once you have a course that works well for you, you're pretty much copying it from last year, bringing it in, and I will talk a little bit about some of the things to do that. But you copy it, and then you're just adjusting dates. You're fixing that assignment that you didn't like so well. You're improving it, maybe adding some things on. So the initial setup takes a lot of work. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. When you first get into Canvas, it takes a lot of work. You want to give yourself some time to do that. But once you have it going, once you've created that, it carries forward each of your sections.
Question.
Yes.
Yes, suppose I'd like to find another resource, like maybe another professor in the posting or something like that on campus. Because, you know, for sign language, there's a lot of professors using, you know, sign language using campus. How would I do that? Find out what they have.
That's a great question. I don't know.
Well, you said something like about sharing in the sandbox. You can go ahead and like saying anybody that you found information from somebody in their course, you know, how would I find other professors to utilize that?
There are two places to look. For online instructors, we have a site called DEN, which is the Distance Education Network. I'll show you. And there's another site for associate faculty that just came out called Connect.
Okay.
If you want to access those sites, email me, and I will point you in the right direction for either of those to make connections.
Thank you.
If you want to get a hold of me, by the way, any of these pages from the online site has my contact information right here. And you can get a hold of Kathy Cox, who's our director, or Lisa Sales, who is our distance education coordinator as well. So CR Online, and a lot of times I will direct you there if you need to get a hold of me. So we were talking about Sandbox.
How did you get to that?
Okay.
I'm just trying to.
Yeah. So if you're following along.
I got the actually Canvas resources is where I am right now.
All right. So the first link at the top says orientation to CR Canvas.
Wait.
Are you able to make the screen size?
You know, sorry about that. That is absolutely something that would help, wouldn't it? There we go. Okay. I keep forgetting about the small screens in here. I apologize. Okay. So that is part of our issue. Our page is very crowded, and this is, there are two reasons for that. One is that we just recently took over the page, and so now I do have control over it, and the other is time. So as we add these resources, the pages grow and grow, and you need to break them up into sections, logical sections, and we just haven't had time to go through and do that. So this page is much better than some of the others. And if you look across the site, you'll notice that when you go to a CR page, it's a long list of links. So it's better to have the material organized, and so I agree. But yes, if you click on that link, Brad, so here we are. Once you're in the course, just click on the first module, which is getting started. And there's a tab that says Your Sandbox. And in here are the instructions. They're pretty straightforward. You're going to use your CR email address and create your course.
Can we use it also do that?
Sure. Yeah.
What would be the advantage to creating a Canvas sandbox over just creating your course and not publishing it so you get it all worked out?
So the advantage would be that, let's say that you publish a course and then you decide, I want to change my grade book. You don't want to do that and impact your students. A lot of times you will find that you're in the middle of your course and you have this epiphany. Oh, I could set my modules up this way, but you don't want to go in the middle of your student's course and do that. So the sandbox removes the student constraint from there. So that's one advantage. And the other is that you can work on it in conjunction with simultaneously. You can go along. Plus, if you find something wrong, you can go there and remove stuff and play around to try and figure out what's wrong with your course. Sometimes I use people's Sandbox courses.
It seems like you can do all of that if you don't publish your course as well.
You can do most of those things before you publish your course, and if you're not making a lot of changes, there's no need to do this. But if you are going to work with any new functions, if you're going to experiment, if you're going to be, then I would set up a Sandbox course. And having it there, you don't have to use it. Anyway, the instructions are here. Just come here, follow the instructions. If you were to have any issues, get a hold of me. The next tab here is getting help. I'm going to point you again to CR Online. There are 2 links on there. There are the technical support and the Canvas resources. These can be invaluable to you, but technical support can also be valuable for your students. I don't know of another place on the CR website where they talk about how students can get technical support. So you may want to put a link in your syllabus to our technical support page. So I'm just going to go directly there. So help and tech support. What's the #1 question that students have? What issue do you think they have when they first start? It's how to log in. So what's the problem here at CR with logging in? We have, there are 3 different logins that you need to have here to be able to function. You got to be able to get into WebAdvisor in order to register for your classes. Once you register, if you get into a course, then you got to log into Canvas. And if you want to receive any feedback from your instructor, most of that information happens through email. So, you would think that we would set that up so that it all had the same user ID, same password, but no. So it's confusing for students, and this is the first barrier they reach is, I can't even log in. I can't get into Canvas. This has information about the 3 systems that we have here, which are WebAdvisor, Canvas, and the student email account. Tell your students to check these login help. The login for WebAdvisor uses the same ID, but different default password. I think actually they changed the password now. Used to be the Canvas password was 6-digit birthday. It's now changed to 8-digit birthday. We have here under Faculty Resources a Canvas login page specifically for Canvas login information. This is new, so we'll see how well it works. But essentially, WebAdvisor ID and your 8-digit birth date. There's information about how to change your password. And then there is information about how to get to Canvas if the CR website is down. Occasionally, the CR website will go down. You can still get to Canvas. That's a good thing to remember. Your students are probably trying to use their mobile devices to work in your Canvas course. Keep that in mind. We have information on the site about how to get to the apps that they can download. There's also an app for you as an instructor to use if you want to use your iPad, if you want to use your phone to check on things. You can now grade on your phone and grade on your iPad as well. So they've got a new app, and that's on there. Yes, you do. There are links within the course that talk just about mobile apps.
I have a question.
Yeah, Canvas Mobile.
I have a comment.
Sure.
I downloaded the app,
Mm-hmm.
Canvas app, and been using it. Then I thought I couldn't figure out why I don't have access to my faculty account. It's a different app. It's Canvas faculty.
Yes, there are 2 apps. There is an app for students, and there's an app for there's an app for teachers. The teacher app just came out 3 weeks ago.
Regular Canvas,
What?
I have that regular Canvas app, have my courses in it.
Yes, you can access your course, you can view the material there. What you can't do is use SpeedGrader. And there's a separate app for SpeedGrader. Well, they've now combined those into one app called the Teacher app. And yeah. So I have, if you'd like to see, if you come to this course and you go all the way to the bottom module, I have a whole bunch of things that are brand new for Canvas, which I'm actually doing in a different presentation. I'm going to be talking about all the updates. And the new mobile teacher app is here. And that will talk to you about where to download it and how to use it. If you're interested in that sort of thing, you do not have to use that. Okay. It is at the bottom of the modules. So if you go click on the home page for the modules and you scroll all the way to the bottom, then here's a Canvas update page. This is for actually a different presentation that I'm going to be doing about changes. It's tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about the changes that are coming up in Canvas. If you want to take a look at some of these things, we could do it today, depending upon what information you guys want to talk about. Everybody see how I got here? Okay. So we've talked about the getting started, setting up your sandbox, how to get help. So I guess the next thing that I would want to take a look at is ask if there are some specific areas of Canvas that you would like to look at. Initially, the first thing you want to do is set up your syllabus. I'm assuming that most of you know how to set up your syllabus in Canvas. If you are not sure how to set up your syllabus, you can take a look at the guide here. It walks you through step by step, but please get a hold of me. So I try and set up, I try and tell people there's lots of resources here for you to find stuff, but the problem is there are a lot of resources. If you look at the guides, it can be overwhelmingly long. So if you spend more than about 10 or 15 minutes looking for something, don't get frustrated. Send me an email, give me a call, get a hold of somebody for help. And they can most likely direct you to where to be. Okay, so for the basics of using Canvas, there's some information in here. Canvas is used in a lot of different modalities. So is there anybody teaching online in here? Okay. So all the way from no face-to-face time all the way back to all face-to-face time. So there's a spectrum. And you guys are probably falling somewhere in between. Canvas can be useful in all of these modes. You can use it. So actually, if we take a look, what do you think the #1 thing that students ask for when we do a survey and we say, what do you want from Canvas, or what do you want from CR? What's the #1 thing you think they want? They want to see their grades. Now, this has been a little bit contentious. Some instructors have expressed the idea that, well, I don't want students to be able to see their grades because I want them to work really hard, and I want them to come talk to me. That was the other thing. I want them to come talk to me about their grades. My contention is that if you put the grades out there available and they can see that they're not doing well, they're more likely to come and talk to you. You're more likely to open that dialogue, especially since you're meeting them on their turf. Their turf is on the phone, it's on their computer, it's on the internet. So if you meet them halfway and you say, okay, this is kind of how you're doing, you should check, they're going to get a hold of you and say, wait a minute, I'm doing much better than this in the class. You know. So I am pro putting your grades online. How you do that, how often you update it, that's up to you. You're the instructor. But using the grade book is pretty essential to, again, so syllabus, grade book, those are the first steps. If you're beyond that, there's a whole world of things that are going to help you out in class. If you have handouts that you hand out, you print out and you hand them out in class, put those on Canvas. Doesn't mean you have to stop handing them out. It just means that if a student says, oh, I lost that, or I didn't have access to it, no excuse, right? It's there. You have access to it 24/7. You don't have to wait for me to give that to you. The same thing with your syllabus. So really, Canvas for those things is essential. The other essential component is communication. How many of you have students in class who raise their hand all the time and they have all the answers, right? Those students are engaged, they're ready to go. Are you worried about that student in class? What about the one that sits in the back and never says anything? They're on this little device back there, they're probably looking under the okay. So where is their world? Their world is here. And you can actually enter that world. You can actually use Canvas and say, here's another way for me to convey my learning material, and open up that dialogue and start that conversation. So I'm very much a believer in the communication tools that are available on Canvas. Yeah.
I just want to, my name is Bob, I'm doing athletics. I just want to reemphasize that point of advocacy. One of the programs that we do through non-credit is a Happy Now program. All of our student athletes have to enroll, and it requires 6 hours of study time to all this practice. And what we do is we regular check on their academic and attendance progress. And when that information is successful on Canvas, it's less of us telling you like myself and coaches of how they're doing the classes. And so I would really, again, I would advocate more information is there, we put more of the actual accountability on to follow.
Yeah.
There's another thing that happens that I think is really important, and that's that as the semester progresses and they can see their grades, they also get information about what they have to get in the upcoming assignments in order to pass the course. So some of them will just do the absolute minimum, but at least they have a bar and they know, in order to pass the class, I got to get a B on the next project. And
so I find it interesting that one of the things we tell our students is that you need to manage your time. So that means making decisions about what you're going to work on and what you're not going to work on. So a student making a decision that, well, I'm not going to be able to get an A in that class, but I'm not going to fail this class either. I've got to make this decision. How much effort am I going to put into one class or another? So it's not necessarily a bad decision for a student to say, I'm going to just do what I need to survive in this class and move on. That's part of what we're trying to get them to do, manage their time. Obviously, we would like them to put in as much effort as possible. But I think that if we give them the tools, they can make better decisions about that. So the other issue for Canvas students is their computers and accessing Canvas. Here is some information about, is your computer ready? What are the things that you need to have? I'm going to say a couple of things about browsers right now. If you're using Internet Explorer as your browser, you really want to reconsider. And if you've only got one browser on your system, get a hold of me. Let's get 2 browsers on your system so you have an alternate. We recommend Firefox and Chrome. If you're using Apple, Safari, and Firefox, those are the recommended browsers. And the issue is, if you have a problem, you should switch browsers and see if it fixes your problem. Yep.
if you
We have Firefox.
Yeah.
You can request Chrome if you have an office computer. I would suggest that if you've got a home computer, that you have 2 browsers on it. Yeah. On campus, use Firefox, and we'll go from there. There's there's one other thing I'm going to tell you. Yeah.
Did I just hear you say that if you have Apple, then you can?
Well, you could, but I recommend Firefox on Apple
And Safari.
and Safari. Both of those should work, but I would have them both installed on your own personal computer.
Right.
Most students are going to be using their own personal computers. Some of them will come to the library. The library has Firefox. Over on the left here, you can read about, everybody knows they have access to Office 365 as a faculty member? Okay. Everybody here can get Office 365 for free, or for, yeah. So.
And that's all for Apple?
That's a good question. I'm assuming that you can get Office 365 for Apple. Go to the link. Yes, this is for your home computer. You already have software here that's available to you.
Yeah.
So Microsoft Office, we have basically what you do is you click on this link, you put in your email address, and it will allow you to download, and you will get the online versions of Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and Note that you can use at home. These are not the full-blown versions, but they are adequate for most work.
Suppose if I have 2 computers, and one is home and one is in my office, can I go ahead and download both at the same, like with the same, both of them, like even though like one is licensed or the other, well, you know what I mean?
Yes, you're allowed to have multiple copies. I think you can have up to 3 or 4 devices that you can install Office 365 with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's good. I like. The other thing, there's spyware and antivirus. I'll let you kind of click through these on your own. I'm going to emphasize clearing your computer cache. So I get this call a lot. A student will call up and say, I've got the assignment open, I'm looking at it, and there's no submit button. Okay. If you run across a situation where a button has disappeared, or the information is disorganized, or doesn't look the same, have the student clear their computer cache. This is the #1 fix that I have for those things. Yeah, Brad. Any browser, the computer cache is a browser cache. And so there are instructions here for Mac, for PC, etc. So students who are accessing the course material from outside, that would be the first thing that I would tell them to do. And you can link to these links. You can put these links in your syllabus. But have the and the same thing for you. If you are there, the first thing you would do is say, oh, I'm going to switch browsers. You switch the other browser. If that fixes the problem, you need to clear your browser cache in the other browser. Okay. There's information in here on the dashboard, how the dashboard works. I'm not going to go into, unless there's somebody who has a specific question about the dashboard. There's the courses link. Have you had a problem with your students losing their courses? They say, my course is gone. If a student says they can't find their course, make sure that they are checking all of their courses. You can see in here, when you click on the courses button, you have the option of selecting all courses. And that's what you want your students to do. Their course may just not be on their dashboard. Let's talk a little bit at this point about what happens with your Canvas shell. When do you guys get access to your courses? A couple of months before, right? And when do students get access to the course? When you publish the course. So you have access to it, you can create the materials, but students can't access the course until you publish it. A lot of students would really like to see your syllabus and some of your materials before school starts. So I'm going to recommend that you, and we're not always able to do this, I'm going to recommend that you at least have your syllabus and a few other things in there and publish your course before class starts. Typically for an online course, you would do that maybe a week or two ahead, because for an online course, students may need to prepare their computers, they may have special software. If you have special considerations that you're going to need to do, you're going to want to publish it earlier. What happens at the end of the semester for Canvas? Does the course disappear? You have access to it, right? What about for students? So at the end of the semester, your students, on the last day of class, their course will drop off of their dashboard. But you're still working on your grades, right? So student calls up and says, oh, my course is gone, how do I find out what my grades are? Well, you can always say, wait until Web Advisor comes out, but a lot of instructors want students to do it. Students do not lose access to their old courses. So you want to keep this in mind. They can go to all courses, they can look at their past enrollments, and they can view all of those materials that are in those courses for as long as that course is on there. So it could be years that that course is there and is available. If you do not want students to access certain materials in your courses, you would want to remove access to that material. You don't have to remove the materials, but remove access to it. You can get a hold of me if you have questions about how to do that. But keep in mind, the last day of class, the course disappears for the student. Now, we put a message up that says, check all courses if you're, trying to check your grades. But still, students may get lost. How long do you have access to the course after that? So far, we have everything since 2014 when we started using Canvas. When we run out of space, we will then have to start archiving and pulling those materials out. But so far, years.
So on my dashboard, I have like 12 or 9 or something number of courses. And the most recent ones are down at the bottom. So every time I want to get to my most recent courses, I have to scroll down to the bottom and wait through. Now I have my color coded, but how can you move them to the top of the dashboard? I spent more than 10 to 15 minutes trying to figure that out.
So far, I have not been able to figure out a way to reorganize that. I think my understanding is they're working on that for you to be able. What I typically do is just highlight the courses that I've accessed the most often and leave the others in all courses. So that is that's discussed.
So can you go ahead and hide something? Previously for a course, like for a previous course?
So what you would do is you would go to your courses. Let's see if it's going to give you this display for all courses. Oh, I'm not sure I can access from here. Let me go to the student orientation and see if I can do it. Oh, I've got to log in. Hang on one second. Let me log in. So if you go to courses and you click on all courses, so you click on the courses button and you go to all courses. In here, you will notice that there are a series of stars, and some of these items are unstarred, and you're picking the favorite courses from your dashboard. Uncheck the courses that you don't want to show up in your dashboard. Let's just say I want to take out the DIN network. And then that course will no longer show up in my dashboard. So when I go back to my dashboard, the DIN course will be gone. And I'll just have those. And then, of course, you can color.
Yeah, I've done that with the 2017 courses. I don't need to deal with them.
You don't need to deal with them. And so they'll sit there in the background. You still have access to them. You can copy materials from them. You can even edit your course for an extended period of time after the end of the semester. At some point, I believe it's within a year, your course will actually close to you and it will become read-only. Still, you can copy anything you want from that course. You just won't be able to edit or change anything. So you have an extended period of time in which you could update your grade book and the courses. We leave it open so in case there are issues. Okay, so any other questions about So there's the dashboard, your account, the layout of the course, how to set up a home page. You can set up different home pages. You can create your own page. You can use your syllabus. I highly recommend that you start looking at modules. Modules are a really good way to organize your course material, make it very easy for students. This is how this course is laid out. It's laid out in modules. You could say create a module week 1, week 2, and just put the materials that you want students to work on that week in that module. You don't have to be there to start off with. Like I said, do it gradually. Get your syllabus and your file set up on there. Set up your grade book. And if you need to come in and sit down with me, I can help you do that. And then slowly build your way up to setting up your modules in the course. Yeah.
So a module is different than a file.
A module is different than a file. So essentially, a module is just the title of a section of stuff. So if this Getting Started module, there are things that I can do with this module. I can move it around, I can edit it, I can set parameters up for it, but it's essentially just a title. And underneath the title, I've got activities. So it could be a discussion, it could be a quiz, it could be a page of information, assignments, those types of things. So it's just a title for all the activities that I'm going to do. And then I can move those around in units. I can move modules from one thing to another. Modules is it's a very interesting topic. We could have just a discussion about modules. If you're interested in heading that way, I would come down to, there's one in here about organizing your course. I would go through this section on modules and see if you, once you've kind of clicked through this material, maybe taken a look at it, there's organizing your modules and adding them and adding content to them and hiding them. There's a lot of things you can do with them. And once you've gone through this material, if you're confused, just get a hold of me and we can sit down and talk about your course and your material.
So this is actually a module in Canvas. This is something we can set up.
So,
like
yes, you can set up your own course software.
well, I guess my question is, I just do typing, but I've seen people have pages that have text, some pictures and videos and all kinds of cool looking stuff that's better than just reading a bunch of text. And is that something?
You mean stuff like this?
Yes.
Okay. So,
yes, exactly like that.
exactly like that. So, this is a page. What we're looking at here is a page, and that page exists within a module. And modules are organized sequentially, so they go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And so if I click on here, this is the Getting Started module. It's just going to take me in here. Here are these the modules in here, and this is going to be a series of pages. Now, we don't have in here assignments. or materials, but we could add those in there. So it's a combination of modules and pages. And your page, you can create your own home page. So as in here, what you can add to that is the you can add pictures and text and links to those pages, and then you can put them in the modules. So pages and modules go together. So what is a page? A page is very much like a website page. It's a place where you can put text and images, links. What's the difference between a page and an assignment? An assignment is associated with the grade book, and a page is just sitting out there on its own. It's just information for the student. It's a portal for them to access other information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just don't know how to, like, have these cool little boxes. How do you add those?
It's cool little boxes. So there's a section in the orientation that talks about pages and using the edit. So visit the orientation, look at the cool little boxes, and then when you're overwhelmed and you're like, give me a call. And we'll sit down and I'll show you how to create the cool little boxes. If you go in here and you edit a page, this is not what you want to see. These boxes are actually tables. I've created a little table here and put a border around the table and pictures. It can take some work to play around with this, but once you get the knack of it, you get a few simple tricks, it goes pretty quick. So I didn't get into talking about the grade book and assignments, which is what I was really going to go in and talk about. But you guys came up with such great questions that I couldn't bring myself to get into the minutiae of that. But what I'm going to say is that everything that I was going to talk about is in that orientation course. Go visit the orientation course. Click around through it. If you see something that you really want to know about, let me know. I can help you get started with that. It's a good place to start. Okay, I think our time is up for this particular section, and I don't have a schedule. So what's happening in the other room during this next section? OEI rubric, okay. So OEI rubric is in 104, and here we are talking about the toolkit. We're talking about how to build your tech toolbox. So we will talk about that. Come on in, Hosey. I think we're going to give people a few minutes to kind of exchange back and forth. Is there anybody that has a question while we're waiting? Yeah.
We're going to talk today about embedding.
Yes, we have a section about embedding. Yeah, we're going to talk about library materials specifically, but what kind of thing were you thinking of trying to embed? That you're going to want to get a hold of me, and we're going to have to probably work on that together because, yeah, it's there are some of these. There's all this nifty stuff out there, and you get really close to making it all work, and then it just doesn't quite.
It doesn't, but
yeah.
I want to make it to my list, but my project's one day a week, and really, in the middle of the week, I wanted to watch it.
Hopefully we can work that out. Hopefully we can figure that out. There are, Canvas, just like anything else, has restrictions. There's a lot of security restrictions that just frustrate the heck out of me. You know, it's like, oh, I want to put a poll in there. No, can't do that. It's not safe. Although I have figured out a way to work around some of this stuff. So you can get a hold of me and we can play around with it. But we have to kind of get into the minutia of that. But Canvas does a lot of things. It has a lot of functionality. You can put videos and links and all these things in here. But you're always going to find the outside case. It's that way.
Are you on to session 2?
I was giving people a few minutes to swap.
Yeah. And tell them, there's lots of food and fruit out here if you don't
Yeah,
eat it,
take a
I have to
break.
send it back.
Take a break, get some coffee.
And I'll collect evaluation